The following is a conversation between Matías De Stefano, referred to as me, and his higher self, referred to as I am. The date is June 19th, 2021. The subject is the emotional aspect of the toroid in Gemini, and the title is Communication. Me. It was hard for me to be able to see where my addictions come from. My mind took me to key moments that I would have never thought had to do with my addictions specifically, and I saw everything very clearly. It's incredible how unthinkable things can lead to satellite or parallel attitudes that seem to have nothing to do with it, and that ultimately shape who we are in the long term. I am. This is how things happen in complex organisms. The reason why we lose sight of the origin of things is because of the modesty we have when it comes to sharing what happens to us. Traumas, conflicts, painful situations, in many cases speak of shame, of memories that give us bad feelings, that make us feel weak, and it is precisely what must be avoided if one wants to survive. For in nature, weakness is interpreted as death. Thus, the neuronal biological being tries to hide everything that could be a symptom of weakness and insecurity, accumulating it in the shadows. Me. But that brings us a lot of problems. I am. It brings problems to social humans who interact as cultures and from individual to individual, but it never brought problems to nature. You have to compare the 65 million years that mammals have lived on the earth evolving against the 300,000 years that Homo sapiens sapiens began creating human cultures. There's a lot of biological weight in cellular memory that reminds us of typical attitudes of survival, not soul interaction. In the times of the development of the soul and the spirit, the liberation of the soul was a concept more priestly than psychological. It will not be until the 19th century that the soul begins to be experimented with beyond philosophy and religion, causing a boom in interpersonal and intrapersonal psychology in the 20th century. Me. 100 years of therapeutic soul work against 300,000 years of religious and cultural soul work, against 3 million years of the human species within the 65 million years of mammals. I am, as you will see, beyond the fact that many humans throughout history have dedicated themselves to finding a way to heal the traumas of the soul and spirit, they have done so from religious, mystical factors, and not from mere logical observation and objective of mental development. So the way of expressing the soul was more related to poetry, theater, ceremony, ritual. Back in the days of Egypt and Mesopotamia, 4,500 years ago, soul therapies were treated with priests, who used to prepare ceremonies between sung words and herbs in which individuals performed catharsis, releasing internal pressures some considered exorcisms. Asia began to see that there were certain points on the body that released these tensions, which is why massages, acupressure, acupuncture, and other techniques allowed the creation of therapies that healed the soul through those meridians and energy nodes of the body, seeking the balance of vital forces. In the Greece of the sophists, psychology was the knowledge of the soul, the observation of internal development, but not the treatment of it. It wasn't until the 10th century that in the Arab world, traumas of the soul began to be taken as aspects of medicine, a therapeutic treatment that encouraged inquiry and questions as a method of finding the problem within the brain. With great shame and fear, the first European psychologists emerged in the 18th century, times after the Renaissance, since until then the Church considered everything that was not normal to be demonic. With secular revolutions, The ecclesiastical vision disappeared from medicine, treating internal conflicts from another more rational and empirical point of view. In any case, as we have said, it was not until the 19th century that the question and answer method began to investigate the human soul in a more psychological than scientific way, something that was called psychoanalysis, the interpretation of the mind and dreams. There's a lot of that in Argentina, a lot of psychoanalysts. The key is the conversation. Until not long ago, talking about what happens inside us was a sign of weakness and imbalance. The women had to be demure, reserved, and the men had to be serious, strong, neutral, and without emotion. If a man showed emotion, he was branded as effeminate, foolish, weak, or crazy. If a woman showed emotions, she was called hysterical, menopausal, witch, crazy. It still happens. Because not more than 60 years ago, with the liberal movements, the hippies, the freedom of expression, many were finally able to express what they felt. For the first time, circles of friends began to come together who were able to share thoughts, feelings, hidden emotions, and support each other. And these same people became parents who listened to their children, and thus new generations arose who dared to share, to express what they felt. And the new ones, after the 80s, the 90s, for the first time were born in social environments in which a great majority was open to talk, to show, to cry and laugh without limits. This sensitized humanity, causing the following generations of the 2000s and 2010s to be born recognizing that they could tell, speak, say, express everything they are and feel. Of course, this makes humanity more neutral, so men and women began to mix as the same gender, without differentiation from each other. This process will take as many generations to end up normalizing, in some countries sooner than others, but you can see that every day more individuals share more of what they feel. Yes, it is difficult for some, especially the elderly, or people who live in complicated or closed environments. But in general, in most countries, it is easier to establish a connection with others on an emotional level. The questions prompted the inner world to release the tensions of the soul, to investigate the hidden, recognizing that hiding weaknesses no longer makes us strong, it only makes us more fragile. Because what is rigid breaks more easily. Weakness grants flexibility. Thus, unlike the millions of years of repressing to be strong, we are living in an intermediate point, a hinge time, which makes the human being to stop being an animal and to truly become a different kingdom. Sharing, feeling, communicating from deep, releasing the hidden makes us free, safe, healthy. It's a nice sight. It is clear then the importance of there being so many therapists of so many kinds today. Well, interaction is necessary. The liberation of everything hidden is necessary. Coming out to the light is learning to communicate. That is something that has cost me. Despite the fact that my task is communication, and I am sharing everything daily, communicating everything that happens to me, I recognize how difficult it is for me to communicate what happens to those closest to me. When I get angry, when I feel sad, when I fall in love, when I have to leave someone, when I have to solve a problem or participate in a discussion, all this has always been difficult for me. It has made me nervous and even left me speechless. This year I am learning to speak. Thanks to connecting with you, I am having the ability to say what I think, what I feel. It's true that it is often difficult to say certain things to some people, but I have improved a lot. I can tell. And above all, more and more you do it with the world. That is communication at its best. Communication comes from the words com, meaning everyone or group, munus, meaning take, do, or take care of, and ikare, meaning convert and transform. Communication is the action of taking something between several to be converted into something new. The idea of communicating is to share data so that at the end of the talk it results in something new and enlightening. In the communication process, there are a minimum of 2 interlocutors who constantly exchange role, sender and receiver. One emits a message, either an affirmation or a question, and the other receives it, turning it into a new affirmation or transcendental question to the previous one, which enriches the content of the talk. Me. This makes me doubt about calling those who are dedicated to informing the media. I am, of course, because there is no real communication there, only direct. The sender is always a sender and the receiver is always a receiver, with which the content does not evolve and is easy to be manipulated. Me. Is that what happens today? I am. Remember the reason why an individual is afraid to share what they have inside. Me. Weakness. I am. If a system shows itself to be weak, it can shake the confidence of the people and generate a crisis that ends with the power of the day. For this reason, the media have a fundamental role in the stabilization or destabilization of a power, be it political or business. Me. I always hear that the media deceive us, lie, manipulate. Is it so? I am. It's deeper than that. There are 2 fundamental roles of the media, informational or investigative. The media that are in charge of the informative receive the information as pre-established packages at an agreed price and dedicate themselves to being simply the megaphone of preconceived and premeditated data. The news media are useful to keep the population informed about events and general decisions, but they do not tell the truth. They only transmit what is received. Me. Oh, so it's not that they lie, it's that they just say what they receive without questioning it. I am. That's right. On the other hand are the investigative media. They question things, search, investigate, get to the bottom of the matter and transmit, inform what they themselves have discovered without any kind of intermediary. Me. That's better, isn't it? I am. It depends. Me. On what? I am. Whoever paid you to do the research. Me. Oh, sure. I am. Today, humanity lives in a period called infoxication, in which we find ourselves intoxicated with information. There are many free channels on the internet that offer their information services without carrying out any type of prior investigation, which generates more misinformation than information. On the other hand, the large hegemonic media are dedicated to carrying out informative advertising in which, in case you haven't noticed, they repeat the same data over and over again a day, causing a data bottleneck in which only the established data are released by corporations. The fear of sharing what is wrong makes us increasingly limited, and the excess of information makes us believe anything. The role of the media is fundamental. They emerge as a link between the systems and the people, as a kind of prosecutor in charge of keeping everyone informed about what the people think of the government and what the government does for the people. This intermediary role is very sensitive and easy to be controlled by one side or the other. Since on the side of the people, many unreal visions can arise that are mixed with the true ones, and on the side of the government, false informations and bribes can arise. Communicators to control their words. The role of the communication media is essential in society, but the role they are performing today does not meet the expectations of their service. Me. how to discern what is real from what is not, how to know if the media is lying to us. I am. You can't know that. To do this, you must carry out your own investigations or finance those you trust to do it for you. Me. And if those who investigate also lie to me? I am. That moment comes when you must understand that there are two types of truths, the internal and the external. There are external truths that are absolute, but no one owns them. When a truth is absolute in the external world, the result will be the same whether the experiment and research is done in Canada, China, or Botswana. Therefore, to find a truth, you need at least 3 different agents of different visions and stories to agree on it. You should never stay with a single channel of information to know a truth. And in the case of internal truth, information poisoning inevitably leads you towards internal confidence with yourself. Trust yourself. Me, I understand. I am. But don't shut up. Never. Me, it has happened to me sometimes that I feel like shutting up because I ask myself, how far am I really communicating well? For example, I usually pay attention to the negative comments that I get many times to know where I am going wrong or what I can improve when communicating. I am infinitely grateful for positive comments, always, but while the positive ones give me firmness and confidence in myself, the negative ones are the ones that give me evolution, to adapt. And in many cases, what I see in the negative comments is that they are not constructive, but destructive. Many times I share my soul, my traumas, my addictions here with thousands of people with the aim of being an example. And in some cases, what I receive is some critical comments focused on me and giving me advice so that I can improve my life according to his visions. Or, on the other hand, they also position themselves as vigilantes in response to what I said when they did not read what I said correctly. And if I tell them, read well, they claim that they did, that they read correctly. But I know that they did not because they did not understand what I put there. So, beyond the fact that these types of comments are the 1%, it is the one that I pay attention to improve. But I realize that this 1% will never change their mind because it is their personality and I cannot be liked by all. I am. As a Leo that you are, you want everyone to understand and accept what you are, and that will never happen. As a Capricorn rising, you always believe that you can improve because nothing is good enough. But let me tell you one thing. Here you must listen to your soul, your Sagittarius moon, reminding you that this is a game and you can't make everyone win or have fun. Not everyone likes the rules of the game. There are people who will judge chess as racist because there are blacks and whites. And even if it has nothing to do with racism, their ideas will be immutable. Will you stop playing chess because of this? Me, I wouldn't. I am. Will it stop raining because someone likes sunny days? Me, no. I am. There are those who only notice the rainy day when the other 6 days of the week were sunny. You must take advantage of that rain to water the plants. Therefore, it is important that you release that rain from you. When an individual expresses the hidden, the shadows, the regret, it will not be long until interlocutors appear to respond to this new information. But that's why you grow. Nobody asks you to be strong, firm. Nobody puts the weight on your shoulders to support the world and not fall. Nobody forbids you to share your weakness. Communicating what is inside of you frees you and frees others. Releasing the weight that you carry in your shadows can scare or anger some, but free many others. One of the great challenges of this time is learning to communicate from the soul, and for this, you have to transcend judgment. So, identify the judgments, but don't adopt them. Me. I understand. Thank you. I am. You do not need anyone's energy to exist, to be, because you are eternal energy. You do not depend on others. And even so, sharing with others is what will set you free. Me. I open myself to share without fear, to communicate my truth, to communicate what I am, freeing myself from belief, communicating to the world the being that I am. I am. Talk to me, tell me, tell me. I will always be listening to you.
My